Hey. Welcome to the Owl Recap, a talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, and today I'm joined by Mel. How you doing, Mel?
Hi, I'm good.
Awesome. And I am joined by special guest, the dude abides. He is a newish podcaster, but he took over my spot on Watchpoint Radio and has been doing a great job. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Do you want to just real quick give them a little just something about you? Anything. Just a little intro.
Yeah, like I said, on the Dude Abides, Ben. Like talking about Overwatch as much as I can. Any chance to talk about swinging the hammer around is always fun in my book. But yeah, I filled in for Bob a couple times, and then he dedicated more time, so there I am. So thank you, Bob.
Yeah, man, you've been great on Watchpoint Radio. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. We were
Thanks, I
talking.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we were talking. I didn't realize you were so into the Overwatch League, and that's how you got here because you said a lot of smart things that made sense. So I was like, why don't you come on the show?
Well, I'm excited to be here. It's
Awesome.
fun to talk Overwatch League for sure.
All right.
Bob, I wanna know if you realize that you have Outlaw's teeth.
You're surrounded by the green wall.
I
Just
have
asking.
it's a non-branded Dallas Fuel Cup. Yep.
With Outlaw's tea in it. So
Oh,
just say.
there you go. I see it.
I'm not calling it Outlaws. It's green tea. All right, we'd like to start the show off by thanking our recap producers, Shazir and Thrill. Thank you guys so much. You guys make this happen.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. Tonight we are going to be talking. Well, there's just not a lot going on in the Overwatch League, guys, but we needed to do a show, and so we are going to talk the controversial subject Ellie. We are going to talk about spectator updates. We're going to do some power rankings and maybe a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right.
Why do you keep pushing the topic I want to talk about all the way to the end and saying we might get to it?
Just in case. Just in case.
Okay.
All right. So, Ellie, this has been a really controversial topic. Just to give anybody who doesn't know the story a little background. Ellie was a supposed girl player that showed up and got into top 500 and then got onto a contenders roster. Now, there's been a lot of different things going on. First off, she left her contenders roster because she said that she was getting basically picked on by men and she left. But then after that, it came out that Ellie wasn't Ellie. It was actually top 500 player Punisher, and the reason that he dropped out was basically because he was about to get caught. So that's basically where we're at right now. It's bad on both sides. I'd like to give Mel a quick, well, not a quick second, whatever you want, some time to talk about it because I haven't seen a lot of female perspectives on this throughout. So why don't you tell us what you think, Mel?
Yeah, well, I guess one, like you made a bad situation even worse by stating the reason you're leaving is because of toxicity against females when I don't see that as being the case. I see the reason you left is because you weren't really who you said you were. And eventually that was going to come out. And so I think it hurt the female population a lot more than it helped by all stretch of the imagination. I I can't relate to the females that say that they get a lot of toxicity from men. I just don't see that, but I often play with groups of friends. So I've seen it a couple times when, like, duo
Yeah.
queuing with you or whatnot, but not to the point where I see it because I'm a girl more than you see it because you're playing poorly or something, right? Like,
And you talk on the mic constantly to pugs, so it's not like you hide that you are a girl gamer.
yeah, no, not at all. I don't. And maybe that's it too. Maybe I have more confidence, so I talk more and I don't make it a deal. And maybe some people just don't talk at all until it's like escalated or whatnot, and then they start talking, and then they're like, "Oh, well, it's a girl." You know, like they know from the beginning it's a girl from me.
True,
But
true.
I don't know. I mean, I think the whole situation was bad for female gamers, but I don't think it's extremely detrimental. I just think it was a stupid girl that did a stupid thing. There's a lot of stupid boys that have done a lot of stupid things, so I don't think
Well, it
it's
was a
that bad.
girl and a boy that did a stupid thing.
Right, and I guess my issue with it is that it's stating like, there's 2 sides to it, right? Like, did she get on the contenders team because she was a girl, and people are mad about that?
Well,
I don't
the
know.
one of his things that he, tried to point out, and others have tried to point out, is that he's been trying to get on a contenders roster forever. And Ellie shows up and is on a contenders roster within 5 days of existing.
Well, and I
Yeah,
I do think that that's bad, but at the same time, like, the goal is to get more diversity in the league, so I don't think that if there's 2 players the same exact skill, one's a female, one's a male, people are gonna gravitate towards that female a little bit more for press reasons and for non-discriminatory reasons, right? Just like if a male and a female are both up for the same job and, they need to hit their female quota, they're gonna hire the female, right?
Good old AA, right?
yeah. I mean, both outcomes of whatever his social experiment was, which I don't buy that line because it's whatever it seemed to be convenient for him at the time when asked. Neither of them are a good look for the game itself,
Right.
but let alone the female population, like you said. Either one, it's a bad representation of how affirmative action works, and that's not great. And the other side is, you point out that women get picked on in gaming communities, which again, that's not great either. And I don't think an experiment was needed to prove that. There's plenty
Right.
of outspoken women who get treated terribly on a daily basis, in workplaces, let alone on an online internet community. So,
And I would argue that I think that women in gaming is lower, not because of the toxicity they encounter in gaming, but because of the expectations and stereotypes about women outside of gaming, right? Like, I can't go talk to a bunch of girlfriends about Overwatch because a lot of them don't play Overwatch, and a lot of them look at me weird if they find out I do. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So I don't necessarily think that it's the gaming population that's making women not play games more. I
But
think it's more of a society thing.
yeah, yeah, and marketing at a young age and stuff like that. I mean, like at Toys R Us, forever games were in the boys area, not the girls. You weren't you expected. It was weird for girls in society to play games, and I mean Overwatch. I've played with more girls than I ever have in my entire life. I mean, in Diamond Q, I run into girls all the time, and they play. Most of them play just as good as anybody else. I mean, I just don't see. I don't get the whole thing just because I don't see toxicity towards women that often either. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means I'm queuing with one or two other people, and we aren't being toxic towards them. So the chances are just lower. In solo queue, it could probably be a bad thing, and I just haven't seen it.
You also have to understand these are all very young people, right? So, I mean, what, the girl was 17, and I'm sure the guy wasn't much older. And I just think you have to look at it that way too. Like, I deal with probably a lot of sexism in my real life as well, but I just handle it differently. I don't get my, you know, all Twitter pated about it because I'm like, all right, well, how I react to this is going to determine how they continue to react to this, right? If I react very upset and very like discriminated against, that's just feeding their fire, right? If I can put a stomp on this, attention seeking behavior that they're engaging in, then they don't keep going.
Yeah, I did see this one time with Mel, and there was a guy harassing her and saying that he was throwing for sure, and then he said, "Well, I won't throw if Mel gives me her Snapchat." So what Mel did was just said, "Okay, if we win, you can have it." And then we won. He's like, "Okay, let me have it." And she's like, "I don't even have a Snapchat." And then Jaw goes, "I'll give you my Snapchat."
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I deal with them differently. I don't get all upset and offended because they're treating me a certain way. I feel like people that treat women that way treat a lot of people that way.
Yep.
And it's not just because I'm a woman, they're just using that to kind of base their argument.
Yeah, when you're smart to not feed the trolls, it's never a winning conversation that you're gonna have with people like that, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
just
yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much just because one, I don't want to give the press to this whole Ellie thing even more than it already has been, but I just think females in gaming shouldn't be afraid to talk. And if there's a guy on the other team that's being toxic, just mute him and move on with your life.
yeah, and I will say I run into males being mean to males all the time, and then
All the time.
Right,
something
but
I've
it's not
seen.
sexist, so it
No,
doesn't make the headlines. You know what I mean? Like, it's just as mean.
well, but then I've seen the opposite happen with girls where those same males that are just being rude as heck to the other male are super nice to the girl. And I've seen that too. And that's I mean, if we're wanting equality, like that's not equality either. Like, being kind to one sex and not kind to the other. I mean, that's
I mean, I'm okay with that sexism, though. That's
I
fine.
mean, if you're gonna be a dick to everyone, you know.
yep, equal opportunity.
Absolutely.
Not
Heck
true. You
yeah.
can be nice to women and mean to men. That's fine.
Well,
I was kidding.
I'm okay. Well, no, I'm not. I'm actually not going to bring that up. Why don't you take us to our next subject, Mel? Spectator updates.
Yes. So, just heads up, guys. L starts in 37 days. Woohoo! So, we're excited about that. But they did come out with some new updates to the spectator. Not really the spectator experience, but like just the UI, I guess. Right? And
The spectator UI, specific for spectators. Now, there's some stuff in the regular game too, like the kill feed and whatnot. But like where you see the icon above their head, like that's only when you see it in spectator view when you can see all of the characters on the top of the screen.
but you can see all the characters on the top of the screen in regular view.
No, you can't. You have to hit tab.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
I can see them all in the top right of my screen on my team and all in the top left of my screen on the other team. During a match, yes.
Uh, Dude, do you know what she's talking about? I see the kill feed during a match, but I do not see.
I don't remember off the top of my head like ever seeing those.
Yeah, yeah,
When
that's
I was
Okay,
watching
maybe I'm crazy.
you are
I was watching
crazy.
a tournament last night and I was surprised to see that. I was like, how did they get that overlay from like basically any game I see cast on Overwatch League or contenders?
Yeah,
And that
Okay.
makes sense. That's why.
but it's
Well,
okay. I thought you were saying in game.
well, I was, but I think I was wrong. Maybe I've just watched too much
Yeah,
Overwatch
I would
and
have to
not paid
hit
attention as much
tab.
when I'm playing.
Yeah, I would have to hit tab way less
Yeah, I don't
while playing if that were the case.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm welcome with that though. If they want to do that, I'm
It'd be
cool with that.
awesome if they put that at the top of the screen. That'd be really
Yeah.
It would be
amazing.
very cool. Well,
It would
okay, so
actually help out a lot of the lower tiers of play, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
tons.
No tab works. If you just put it out there for people to see, especially the addition of knowing your teammates' ults,
Right.
that right there would lead to just better team play, even without communication.
Well, the
Right.
good. No, yeah, you can't see that normally either. Yeah, no, you have to hit tab to see the olds too.
Yeah. So what they added to the spectator is basically just little icons that will show you for different characters on your team if they are, or different characters on both teams because you're spectating. If they're slept or if they're stunned or if they're using their ults or if they're uh anything else really. I mean, I can't think of all of the things. If they're
Yeah,
dead.
slept, stunned. I mean, it showed dead before, but it's all the different. It'll show if they're purple.
Or if they're
Uh,
frozen.
yep.
Yeah, if they're debuffed or anything like that. And I think it's really going to help viewers with Overwatch League because one, you can't always see the entire match, right? You're usually looking from a first person perspective or an overview, but you're not seeing all 12 players. And so I think it's twofold. One, for casting, I think it's going to be really helpful for casters to be able to easily see what's happening outside of their screen. And two, I think it's going to be helpful for people just consuming the game so that if you play Overwatch and you're like, well, why didn't somebody heal him? You can look and be like, oh, well, it's because they're slept and stunned or whatever. And if you're new to the game and you're not really familiar with the mechanics, it just gives you more information to kind of take in, but it's not like thrown at you where you have to take it in all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it'll be really good. And this kind of doesn't really matter for live viewing, but for VOD reviews, it'll be great because you'll just, without having to rewind as much and see, look and see exactly what happened, you'll just know, oh, the reason he didn't do this is because he was stunned. Also, some changes to the kill feed too, right?
Was there? I didn't see that. What they changed on the kill feed?
Changed a few things like it's going to be very obvious when you kill something that's like not a player character, like a Torbjorn turret or a Diva mech. It's going to be smaller, so that it's or thinner, I guess you should say, so that it's obvious that it wasn't a player character. I think Bob will probably be on that list too. It's going to
Yeah,
show
Bob
things.
turrets and the mech, I believe.
Yep. I can't think of
Nice.
anything else. Maybe Junkrat mine, Junkrat tire, stuff like
TP
that.
maybe.
Yeah. And then they also the one I remember specifically is you'll now be able to see when Diva eats an
Hmm.
ultimate on the other side. That'll be super neat.
That's
So,
really helpful because a lot of times you throw something and you don't know where it went. At least you know that it's the screen is telling you, "Hey, man, she ate it.
yep.
It's
Right.
gone."
Or if you have a team that's not communicating and Diva eats an ult and you don't see Diva eat that ult really fast,
Right.
and you're like, wait, does Zarya have her ult? Because I didn't get into a bubble at all, you know?
Oh
Any
man.
more information on the screen, whether for the player or for more specifically the viewer in terms of Owl, Overwatch is kind of a tough game to watch if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Right.
You can't be new to Overwatch and understand what's happening. It will make zero sense. So any more information for the viewer is a good thing in my book.
For
definitely.
sure.
Definitely. And it's crazy because at the actual arena itself, you don't see, or you do see the characters on screen, but above the screens, you see each team with like these huge full body representations of whatever character they are on. So I
They're on each
assume,
side of
Yeah,
the
I've seen
screen.
that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's really cool.
I assume that those little icons will show up above them too, which will be helpful for the like live spectator experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going to the games in Atlanta for season 2.
Nice.
So I'm excited to see what they do like with an away venue.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there will be no outlaws there. So I'm gonna have
We're
to.
gonna try to go to the Atlanta one too.
Oh, really? That'd be awesome if you guys ended up doing that.
Yep, we're gonna try
We're
to
gonna
go to
try.
that and try to go to Dallas. We got a
Yeah, I
big
will definitely be
we got
in
some
the
big
Atlanta one
stuff.
because that's the only one coming close, and I refuse to miss out on it, even though it's an 8-hour drive. But
Close-ish.
Well,
it's worth
maybe
it.
you could maybe Kinder can let you crash on his couch. Isn't it Kinder that lives close?
Yeah, Kinder's not too far from Atlanta.
Yeah. Maybe you can
At your own
crash
risk.
there.
I've heard some of his dating stories. I don't know.
Yeah, the amount of times that guy gets pink eye. I mean, I don't know.
That's rough.
You
Who's
gotta-
farting on your pillow, man?
I'm
Oh,
sure it's his
man.
kids.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Oh my gosh. One other bit of news that our mod Silver Loki just gave me. Oh wait, sorry. Are you guys done talking about the changes to Spectator?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, good. One more bit of news is Effect is back in Korea.
Uh-oh.
The reason stated is visa issues. Now it sucks because we did power rankings, and I wish I would have known that before I did my
That
rankings.
changes.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
I'm moving them down.
It's already so easy to like put them on the lower end of the spectrum, and now you just made it even better. Because
Okay.
their DPS line is sorely lacking if Effect isn't there.
So he's back in Korea, but when do they start scrimming together as a team and practicing? Probably pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Like, are all
Like
the other
now,
players
like
back in the
there's
States?
They're like most teams are scrimming now.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's that's I'm just hoping that it is a visa issue and not his parents hearing his announcement. And
That's what I was worried.
yeah, I'm hoping that he's not
The
going
timing.
through
Come home now.
drama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the timing makes it a little worrisome if that's the case. Because that'd be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
So let's
That would
just
be really
hope.
sad.
Let's just hope. All right, well, let's move into power rankings. So the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to start at just the top using last year's win-loss record as like where we started. So last year, the number one was NYXL. Who do you guys have as the number one seed? Oh, and sorry, I didn't explain. We are only doing last year's 12 teams. We are not doing the new ones. There just isn't enough information. So, NYXL, who do you guys have at number one for season 2?
I have NYXL.
That makes it
Unfortunately.
3 of us. Yeah.
That makes 3 of us. All right.
Add Flower to that? Mm-mm. That scares me.
Yeah.
If there's ever a 4 DPS comp, they would make it really fun to watch.
Them and San Francisco Shock. There's ever
Yeah.
a 6 DPS comp. San Francisco Shock has it in the bag.
I mean, for season 2,
Yeah.
part B, when they do 6v6 competitive, it'll be Nixel and Shock all day, just DPSing each other.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and last year the Los Angeles Valiant ended at 2. Who do you guys have at 2 for season 2?
I have Spitfire.
I actually have Valiant. I didn't move them anywhere because they were so impressive at the end of last season. It's hard
I
to
feel
pick
like
against
Valiant without Soon, though,
That's
is
exactly how I feel.
scary.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the loss of Sood is a lot bigger than anybody's really talking about. And so I have London. So we're close. Last year, Boston Uprising was at 3.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Sorry.
think for season 2? Who's going to be at 3?
I have Gladiators. I think Gladiators are a better team than Valiant.
Yeah, I have London at 3. I mean, so pretty close with you guys.
You know what I just thought about? We should have done this from the bottom to the top. Oh, well, though, we already started.
Probably.
Well,
Uh,
anticlimactic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of a bummer. So at 3, I have the Seoul Dynasty. The Seoul Dynasty.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. They are the one true Korean team. They have a tank, and that was their biggest problem last year. And they have arguably one of the best tanks, if not the best, in the league. So
You
I
mean
have
Well,
Fissure
Seoul up
is an
there.
improvement over Jaehong at main tank?
Yes,
nah.
yes.
I do
I don't
feel
Jake
like
know.
Hogg.
That monkey was pretty amazing.
Jake Hogg.
Fisher's baggage, though, I just feel like there's a reason that Fisher has been on so many teams, and there's a reason that he stayed out of the playoffs. And I don't know. I just feel like Soul Dynasty is kind of a core group of people, and Fisher's going to come in and think that he can save this team like he saved Gladiators. And I think that it might push some buttons and ruffle some feathers, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I do not disagree. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think he'll gel better there, but it
I think
will.
the
We
language
see.
barrier not being there helps.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
He'll
so
probably
that'll
now
feel a
help.
little bit
we
more at
always know when
home.
he's
You
being
know?
toxic, instead of hiding it. They're like, I don't think he likes me, but maybe it's a language barrier. Yeah, now that you got nothing.
You can't explain that away.
Yeah, you can't explain it away. You're just being a jerk.
All right. Well, at number 4 last season was the L.A. Gladiators. What do you think for 4, Mel?
I have Fusion
Okay.
as 4. I think
I
that
oh, go ahead.
Fusion's experience in like playoffs, and I think they know how to clutch it out a lot of times. And I don't know. I feel like they're gonna do well this year.
Yeah, I have Gladiators at 4. I mean, they're awesome. They're fun to watch. They have the best, hands down, best chant in all of Overwatch League. So that has to keep you up there just for relevance. It's hard to not cheer for the guys.
Right?
So
They're a
they're
good
really
group
good, though.
of
I
guys.
mean, between Surefour and Hydration, you can't really go wrong. And not to mention the merry-go-round, the most iconic thing anyone's ever seen in Overwatch League.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
the Kings
yeah,
Row thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So, I have I have the Philadelphia Fusion at 4 also. I think they are solid. I think they're even more solid than they were starting out last season, and I think they're going to continue. They just have a good atmosphere for their players. I think they're going to continue with more success than last year.
Yeah, I agree. And the players they lost, I don't think any of them were major contributors on the team, outside of maybe there was one.
Well, the one you're probably thinking of is Shadowbird, but he wasn't used.
No, Hotba, I think.
Oh, you were big on Hoppa.
Well, no, I wasn't. He was just a part of the team
Nah.
Yeah,
more.
him as a tank for them towards the end of the season is why they improved as much as they did, because they went away from Fraggy, who, as fun as he is to watch play Ryan, he ends up feeding a lot because he gets a little too
No,
aggressive.
you're thinking of Sato. Sato's who they replaced Fraggy with because I whined and complained about it for weeks and weeks.
I feel like Hoppo played a lot of tank though too when he wasn't playing Tracer in the playoffs.
Diva.
Yeah, he did play Diva, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
he didn't play Monkey or Ryan
No,
though.
you're right. Yeah, he played Diva.
Oh
But
boy.
I don't I just think they are solid. So last year at 5 was the London Spitfire. Who do you guys have at 5 this season?
I have Dynasty.
Ditto.
Hmm?
And for me, teams 2 through 6, it's a coin flip between all 5 of them, in my
Right.
opinion. I think there's NYXL, and then the next tier, and it's the next 5 teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
So,
could
but
agree
yeah, I
with
have
that.
Soul at 5. I agree with what Mel said about Fissure maybe being a little too big for his own britches and needing to get put in his place in a team setting.
Yeah.
I think Jaehong is a stronger leader, though, vocally and just kind of emotionally. You can tell he runs those guys.
Mhm.
They look up to him. So I
I
think
think they have the
he's
respect. I think
Well,
Jayhawk
right,
and
has the respect, and so
Anna's possibly back too.
right, which makes him even scarier. But I think he just without even having to say it, Fisher knows not to do that kind of stuff with Jahan around. I don't think there was that kind of leadership in with the Gladiators, but
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, the Gladiators seem more like easygoing.
right. But I definitely think Soul improves with that tank lineup because Fisher's a monster, especially when there's revenge on his mind. Cue him against
Right.
Spitfire. So now, watch out the first time he plays LA. He's gonna go. He's gonna go
Oh
off. I'm
yes.
sure of it.
Oh yes.
So who I have at 5 is way different from you two, I'm sure, but I have your boys in blue, Dallas Fuel. Now I made this before hearing Effect was gone, but I still think they have the two smartest coaches in Overwatch. So
Coaches can't play. That's unfortunate.
yeah, but I mean Zachary was a huge ad. Taibu, let's if Effect
Said
isn't
nobody
back,
ever.
Did you actually
what?
watch, the heartbreaking defeat in World Cup? Because
Live.
Zachary
I
watched it
Live.
with us and
We-
didn't do a damn thing when he was actually playing against good competition.
yeah,
I
So
did,
Zachary was
but
a huge
Zachary
ad. Nobody ever said that.
he
That
was
is
literally throwing the whole World Cup match against UK. So
uh
if that's how he plays against that team, I'm excited to watch him play against like the next level up. He's gonna get. I'm sorry.
well,
yes, Totem. We're giving our opinion of Zachary based on one heartbreaking performance.
yep,
First time, or I
and
don't know if it's his first time on stage, but sitting on that stage does something to people sometimes.
yep, it was
And
his only his second LAN circumstance ever, and it was the first time ever being on a stage that big. Zachary's good. You watch, like everybody just took the World Cup and didn't do any research after that. Just trust me, Zachary's
I'm
going to be
not
good.
saying that Zachary's not good, but I'm saying there's other issues that Zachary needs to overcome, such as being on a stage, being in the spotlight, doing all of this other stuff. I'm not saying he can't, and he might do it before Al starts, but I'm just saying he hasn't proven anything to me that he is going to be a rock star on the Overwatch League stage.
yeah, he's the new kid on the block, so you're gonna draw that kind of skepticism from people when the first time you get to show off. And it doesn't help that like America as a team just flopped like a dead fish. It was
Right.
not fun to watch. So
Yeah, I
but
mean,
he was the newest one out there, so he's gonna
if
catch a lot of that criticism.
in my opinion, the biggest throw in the Overwatch, the Overwatch World Cup was oh dang it, I just blanked on his Sinatra. Sinatra, man. Zarya in front of Ryan constantly, like playing like a freaking a plat.
Like a tracer.
Yeah, trying to play like a DPS and no, like there was so many times Muma died where he could have saved him that it just wasn't even funny. But
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
my
saying
opinion.
anybody on the team did well. I'm just saying Zachary didn't prove himself on the big stage. But that's fine. You can put him at 5, whatever.
Yeah, if you look at the year before on the World Cup stage, Flower made a name for himself the first time appearing in front of all those people. Zachary had the opportunity to be that guy for, USA and Dallas, and he kind of just let the opportunity squander. So I think he'll be fine. That's just what I've seen in him on LAN and in front of a crowd. So,
Yeah, I
Right.
until he proves me otherwise, like Mel said, that's just kind of what my
and
opinion will be of him.
you guys also saw Zachary as a hit scan player. I don't think he's going to be that. I think he's going to be the projectile specialist for the Dallas Fuel, but remains to be seen. Next on the list was number 6, the Philadelphia Fusion. Who did you guys have for 6?
I put Valiant at 6. So I think Valiant's still going to be a fairly strong team, but I think that they lost soon and they didn't really fill that gap with anybody. And I feel like that's why I have them a lot lower than maybe other people. I do still think they have a good leader with Custa. I think they still have a good coaching staff, so I'm not counting them out. And hey, if Goats is still the meta, they'll probably be fine. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
We might talk about that a little bit after this too. Who did you have, dude?
I actually have Philly at 6. And again, for me, 2 through 6 are all a toss up any given day. Most particularly Philly. The reason I have them as low as 6 is because, even though they improved on it towards the end of the season, you never know if it's good Philly or bad Philly, depending on the day.
Yeah, they're
They
very
are
inconsistent.
so capable of looking like the best team in the league. And then the next day, just giving 5 games to Shanghai.
Right.
So, I mean, their DPS line is ridiculous between EQO and Carpe, and then with Silo on the bench too. I mean, the three of them are gross. EQO especially, he's one of my favorite DPS players to watch. He's just I've been watching clips of what Philly did last season, and it gets
EQO.
me excited watching those two play together. But
Yeah, I've said
the
it
tank
many,
line,
many
I think, holds them
times.
back.
EQO's the best in the
He's
league.
amazing.
He,
Especially with how deep his hero pool is too.
yep, and that's one of the big reasons that I say he's the best DPS in the league, and I've stood by that a long time. I
He's also
freaking
a Hanzo hipster. Like, he was playing Hanzo before Hanzo was cool to be good at, and he's the only person I've ever watched play Hanzo where I actually enjoyed watching Hanzo. Because I can't stand Hanzo, but he makes it fun.
Hans, no. So yeah, I had the Valiant at 6 too. I think the loss of Soon is bad. Uh, I think Agilities is amazing, and I think they will be a good team. But I'm gonna have to see if Buddy can fully do everything that Soon could. I know he can play Tracer, but can he play the hits? Can Widowmaker, maybe Ash, possibly if that's needed? Can he do McCree? I don't know. So sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Shazier. I put him at 6.
I mean, they have Carpe. Like, it's not like
No,
they're.
no, no, no. Carpe's on the Fusion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking
Yeah,
Fusion.
he had Fusion. Dude did.
Yeah.
You and I have Valiant.
Got it. I was
But
still
I
on
think Bunny
dude's Fusion train.
as Tracer is still good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to see him play the other stuff too, because Soon was a really good tracer, and like everybody kind of forgot because he just stopped playing it, because they needed someone to take on that other role, and he was amazing at doing that quickly because he wasn't playing a ton of Widow prior.
No, he wasn't. I only saw him play Tracer when he was a Soul.
Yeah.
All right, so 7. Last year was you two's fave, the Houston Outlaws. Who do you have at 7 this time around?
Well, I switched it, and now I have the Outlaws.
I think we all have him at 7, don't we?
I have the Outlaws too.
Yeah, I have him at 7.
They're
I think
tried and true.
there's something to be said though about the consistency, not of the Outlaws' play, but of their teamwork and team collaboration. They didn't have a lot of big changes over the offseason. There's not a ton of new people on the team. Dante was filled one of our biggest weaknesses. And I think that as long as we can get some sort of consistency going, that was always the Outlaws' problem, is that we were in a tracer meta for a long time and we didn't have a tracer, and so we tried a bunch of different things, and sometimes they'd work, sometimes they didn't. And then Linkser was kind of pigeonholed into this, you need to carry the team role, and if he wasn't popping off, they weren't winning.
Yeah, with Houston, you kind of go as Linkster goes.
Right.
And Linkster, as amazing as he is, he can't do everything all the time. I think the meta changing completely compared to season 1 is their biggest improvement, because we're not going to have to see Bonnie forced to play Mercy, who
Maybe.
he doesn't. He may be, but not the way season 1 Mercy was used. Seeing Bonnie in the World Cup on Zen just go absolutely ham was really refreshing to see, because he looked like he was having fun playing Overwatch again, and he didn't seem that way the last few stages in stage 1.
I think it was taking a toll on
too.
them as well, though. I think
Yeah.
just the whole Houston team in general was very they started off the team very positive and very outgoing with the fans. And then you saw that kind of die down when their success kind of died down. And then they were a little bit more closed off, trying to focus a little bit more on how to win a game when we don't have the tools to win it.
Well, and again, I think Houston is higher on our list than we probably would think talent wise because of their teamwork together, because of what they do as a team, and seeing what they went through as a team last year. Like you said, they started off well, then lost a lot, and then Ruckus's dad passed away.
Right.
I mean, they went through a lot as a season off the screen.
Yep.
So I think you grow as a team a year later, and the addition of someone who can actually play Tracer competently and getting rid of Clockwork, all those combined, I think make a lot of things more viable for next season. So if they
As
can
long
have
as
the
they don't put
consistency,
blank on Mercy, we're fine.
yeah, and if Muma is going to be Muma, he's my favorite player in Overwatch because he plays what I play. But if you let him do what he can do, he can carry most games along with Lankster doing what he does. So
there's no question of the talent on the team.
Yeah, they can beat anyone,
Definitely talent.
but it depends on what they do.
For sure.
Yeah, and I just think that okay, you talked about Bonnie, and when we interviewed him at the stage 3 finals, like he seemed like he was just bored playing Mercy. When he gave us ideas of how to change Mercy, they all pertain to like making it a more skill intensive hero, mechanically skill intensive hero. And so yeah, I think they're pretty solid. I think, I just think they're 7. I guess that's all I could say. Moving on to number 8 was the Soul Dynasty. And who do you guys have for 8 this time around? I think everybody's picked Soul by now, right?
I have the Fuel.
The Fuel.
Which is probably higher than they should be, but
I do as well with similar sentiments.
I've got Thorn Rain's gonna kill me, but I've got the LA Gladiators at 8.
Ouch.
That's low.
Well, do you guys remember them in stage 1? Like your DPS, like people didn't even really know their DPS because they didn't have a tank to open up space for them. All of a sudden, they get a tank, and boom! Like you're like, hydration is awesome, Surefour is awesome. I mean, it was just amazing. And then,
I mean, they did get a main tank. They got Roar.
yeah, well, we're gonna have to wait to see if he can roar.
They play the Katy Perry song. I'm sure he'll figure it out.
With the Fuel for me, the only reason I give them number 8 is based solely on coaching staff.
Yep, me too. 100%.
Yeah, I wish the Outlaws had Jane. They'd be tremendously better.
Or Arrow.
But OGE is amazing. I love OGE's Ryan. He is very good. I think their DPS
and
line
his
is
monkey
very lackluster.
his monkey is out of
OGE
this
is
world.
amazing. I'll give him and Mickey are a very good pair. I think they overachieved in the adaptation to Brig in stage 4. I think their DPS line is sorely lacking. I think Taimu's kind of washed up. That's just my opinion.
He's just streaky. He's super, super streaky, and he just
right. But you can't do that as a sub. If you're going to be a sub, you have to be like Snello or Pine and come in and just pop off immediately. And Taimu can't do that. So if you can't do that, then what are you doing as a sub? And I don't think he's a starter because he just, I don't know, Hog's not really used a whole lot.
He's too streaky to be a starter.
Yeah, and then in the same sense, it's hard to be a sub like that too. Here's my long shot for the Dallas Fuel, and I know this is out of left field, but I think they signed Kefri because of Jane's investment in him in Korea and contenders. I think they signed him to the team after him proving himself over there, and I think he is, if not this year, maybe next year, taking Taimu's spot. That's my hot take.
That would be interesting. Maybe.
Jane loves Kefri, and he's been coaching him, and Kefri's actually been really receptive. I don't like Kefri, but he's taking the right route to get noticed and recognized. So maybe it'll pay off.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of going back to Taimu, I think there was a lot of growing pains for him. During season one, he had a lot of, like, he even went out on Twitter, had a lot of, like, it seemed like mental depression related problems. So honestly, if he could be a sub, I think he could come in and pop off, just if he didn't have to be as much of a star. But
I mean, let's be honest. If Dallas can go a stage without some like super dramatic thing happening on their team, they might have a chance. Like,
well, you know, and I know how much his players love him. I mean, we watched AKM come up and hug him and was like, "Oh, why are you why are you so sweaty? Are you okay? Or are you sick?" And he's like, "No, dude, it's hot out here." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, just making sure." It's just like, I mean, they love him.
yeah, they definitely do. And you can see they respect him, and rightfully so. I mean, he was a great coach, and I think the addition of Jane has put them into a different level. But again, can these players execute it? I don't know.
I don't see the on the stage leadership there that even Siegel couldn't become that person to do, and it looked like Siegel was trying. But I just don't see the on-stage leadership. They're all. I mean, it's a streamer team, and it shows when they play together. They don't have that. That's why I think Kefri gets on that team, because it just makes too much sense for Haster not to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like though putting Kefri on the team is like going 3 steps backwards by getting rid of XQC, and you know what I mean? Like, I
That's
just
why I
feel
think
like
Haster does it, because he loves that kind of publicity of
yeah.
like signing the guy that everyone knows or loves to hate or whatever you want to call it. But I think that's, again, that whole mentality
Because
of
you
the
have
team.
Mickey to kind of balance it out. You're like, but
Right, but the
everybody
whole
loves
the whole
Mickey.
team dynamic, I don't think works. They don't have a cohesive unit. They don't have a leader on stage, and I think that's where their talent drops off. It's literally the yin and yang between them and Houston.
Yeah,
You know,
agreed.
Yeah, I think you guys might be onto something, especially since we don't know what effects status is now. But let's just go ahead and move on. So number 9 last year was San Francisco Shock. Who do you guys have at number 9 this time around?
I have San Francisco Shock.
I got Boston.
I also have Boston. Boston, I don't know, man. It's trouble in Boston, man. Like multiple people wanting to leave, people retiring, coaches leaving due to what did they say? Like, I don't know. But obviously, there's inner turmoil there, and I just don't think they're going to be that good.
Boston?
Boston, yep.
But do you think they're going to be better than Shock?
I
Or did
do.
you already say Shock?
Nope.
See, I have them above Shock solely based on what the upper management of Boston did with their roster last year and how far they overachieved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they can repeat that kind of success, but I think it keeps them above, the next few names on the list just based on experience alone.
I
And
mean, they
playing
don't
above
even
their
have a
level.
head coach.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's trouble. I don't believe in San Francisco Shock
Yeah, well,
at
speaking of
all.
that, let's just move on to 10, which was last season, the Dallas Fuel. This time around, I have Shock at number 10. What about you guys?
I have the Shanghai Dragons.
Oof. Good for
Wow.
you.
Listen, I probably shouldn't have even ranked them because it's totally different teams. So they're really one of the expansion teams at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like they did what they needed to do. They made a ton of changes, which is what needed to happen. And I think they're coming back with a vengeance. I think they'll still be around 10, but
What did you
know.
have, dude?
Bold move, Cotton. I have the Shock at 10.
Yeah, I just feel like they have way too many DPS, and
That's all they have. That's actually, worth their salt, in my opinion.
yeah, it's weird. I don't understand the thought process in it. Maybe they're going to come out and shock it all with 4 DPS comp or 5 DPS comp. I have no clue.
It just, I don't know, man. I'm not a believer in their team. I mean, I don't think there's chemistry there. They're very young and talented, but I think the last few teams we talked about, all these guys are talented, but it's clear the teams that have chemistry and that cohesion and the ones that don't. And I think San Francisco doesn't have that. They're all amazing players on their own, but I just don't think they work together
I
successfully.
think San Francisco getting Krusty, who I think was a big part of Boston Uprising's success last season as their head coach, I think is going to put them. That's why I have them a little higher.
They got rid of
And-
my boy. They got rid of my boy Harsha though, so I think
But
that
Harsha was an
hurts.
analyst. He wasn't the head coach.
No, he wasn't, but he was part of the team. I think he was. I'm always impressed by his point of view, and I think it was a loss.
But Harsha found his way.
Yeah, he definitely did.
So I don't know. I guess there's a lot of talent on the San Francisco Shock with the addition of Krusty as the head coach. I think they can go up more so than Boston's very unknown. We don't have a head coach or players really.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to number 11. Last season, everybody knows, is the Florida Mayhem. This season, I have them right in the same spot, number 11. What about you guys?
I have the Uprising at 11.
Yeah, I have Florida at 11.
Yep.
I mean, along with kind of what Mel said about Shanghai, I think Mayhem are basically also an expansion team at this point. They're shades of what last year's team was. So
Yep. That's why I've
kind of
got
have to
these
remain to be
two.
seen. Yeah.
That's why I've got these two at the bottom also.
I think
I
they only
feel
have
like-
two of the same players from last season.
I think it was just Tavik. I think Tavik was the only player they
Is
kept.
Zappis not
No,
there
Saya
anymore?
player.
Oh, Saya player
and-
was there at the end of the
Okay.
year.
Awesome
I thought
guy.
Zappis- Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 maybe.
But I guess
But-
from the original squad of Misfits, I think there's only one left.
Yeah. I think I have Mayhem at 12, but I think one of Mayhem's biggest issues is that they didn't address the coaching staff. And I think that was one of their biggest downfalls in season 1. And they haven't added new coaching staff, which maybe they will. But I think for them to improve, I don't think they lacked talent last year. I think they just lacked direction and cohesion. But they didn't do anything about that. They added more players, which may help, but I think in the end, the coaches are going to get you to the next level. You can have all the talented players you want.
Yep. And Silver Loki in chat says that they kept 3. So
Okay. I'm looking right now on Overwatch site. Awesome player is not on their roster.
He changed his name to SNT.
Oh, is that what that is? Well, there you go. He's there.
Yeah. Which is
branding
stupid. People shouldn't
changes.
be allowed to change their names, darn it.
Yeah, because now I think it's a different guy. How
Right.
dare you.
Well, Flower changed his and then changed it back. So maybe he'll
Yes. Thank you,
maybe he'll
Flower.
go back. So last year, of course, everybody knows the worst pro team in pro sports and esports history, the Shanghai Dragons. We're at number 12. I have them right there at number 12 again. What about you guys?
I don't know if you're giving them enough credit. I have the Florida Mayhem, but I already kind of went over them. I feel like the Shanghai Dragons, you're putting them at number 12 because of the unknown.
Yeah, I put both Mayhem and the Dragons at number 11 and 12 for the, just like you said, they're expansion teams.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but I think that the Dragons kept a few good people. I think Dia and Giguri and Fearless are good. And I think they added some pretty solid people. It'll kind of just depend on how they mesh and how they come together. But I think they'll do better than 12th. I think Uprising and Mayhem will be worse than them.
Well, also another reason I have them both at 11 and 12 is because their management showed us, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but they showed us they were bad at it. And unless they've made major strides like other teams that had those woes, made different comebacks and things, like neither of them ever did. And so until their management and ownership can show me that they can do it right, I'm not going to believe in them at all.
I honestly think both of these last two teams finish below two of the other expansion teams.
That's
Now,
very possible.
Yeah.
so I think that's enough for that. I don't know if we'll rate the expansion teams later before the season starts, but don't hold your breath. All right, so real quick, Mr. Blue in chat brought something up that's something I've wanted to talk about for a long time. We've just never kind of thrown it in. He asks, I'm curious to know how many of these players played sports as a kid. It's something Mel and I have talked about many times because in team sports growing up, you learn, one of the main things you learn to listen to your coach, and then another main thing is you learn to work with your team. And I've just always wondered if these kids, they grow up playing a game solo and then they could jump teams, they could do whatever they want. They're never really stuck in anything, and they never really had coaches until they go pro, until they're good enough for that. So I do wonder how many actually played team sports growing up. I mean, I was in wrestling, which isn't really team, to be honest, but I was also on track, and I played soccer for most of my life before high school, and you learn how to suck it up a lot during that time. What do you what do you think about that, dude?
Well, I grew up playing football mostly, the ultimate team sport.
Hell yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I love Overwatch because it translates very, very much the same.
Same.
Um, I played offensive line, and there's no mystery to me why I played main tank. Like I've loved being the unsung hero of doing the grunt work and trusting that the people behind you are going to do what they need to do. And when you watch either football or Overwatch, and like teams execute very well, it's just a pleasure to watch to see all of those things happen at the same time. So I think the team sport dynamic very much translates to the screen and the stage. And I think it's very evident a lot of these guys did not play sports growing up, or neither were they in team settings.
Yeah, it
And I
feels
think
like
that's
that to
evident
me
more
too.
on the lower part of the rankings. You see, they just don't know what they're doing together. So
And
a
they
lot of
all want
that,
to
I
be the
think,
star.
they do. And again, I think that's San Francisco shock. What they have to kind of humble themselves on. That's, I think, their biggest fault is they all want to be the best, but it doesn't matter if your team doesn't win. Who cares? I think Baby Bay is the personification of that.
And Sinatra, dude.
Well, Sinatra more so. He didn't play the whole season, but I think Baby Bay, the beginning of last season, he was getting a lot of his name out there. And then once the lights run, he didn't do a thing. And he ended up on the bench at the end of the season, basically.
Yep.
But it's interesting to see the ebbs and flows of a season take the toll on people that you clearly can tell have never played team sports and been through that roller coaster of emotions
And it
with
doesn't even
a
have
group
to
of
be
people.
right. It doesn't even have to be sports though. I mean, just team camaraderie, right? Like Shazir brought up dance and different things like that. Like were they in acting class or whatever? Like it could be anything, but something where other people are relying on you and you're not the sole focus of everything.
Uh,
And
d- Another example could be drama. I was just throwing
yeah,
that in there.
right. And so I think the problem isn't that these people didn't play sports. The problem is that esports is getting big now, and it wasn't as large, at least in the States, when they were younger. So those team options weren't available. I think if we start getting younger kids into organized teams in esports, you can get the same sort of camaraderie and effect that we're looking for here. I just don't think that was very established or well known at that point, right? There wasn't college teams, there wasn't high school teams for a lot of different esports. And so I think you're looking at we just need to evolve as a society and allow those team opportunities because not everybody that plays Overwatch can go play football, right?
No, I think Mel nailed it on the head. A lot of video games growing up when you're younger, you play by yourself and you carry by yourself.
Right. You
There's
depend
no
on
team
yourself
play.
and no one
Yeah.
else.
I mean,
Nobody
it's
tells you what
online
to do.
gaming growing up. I mean, talking to people is a phenomenon of only the past 10 years over a video game. So you think about how new this still is, this whole concept of a competitive team. The fact that there are now colleges doing Overwatch teams just has me so excited for the future of like this taking the evolution that Ultimate Fighting and MMA just went through the past 10 years. Now we're seeing people, instead of playing baseball when they're 6, it's okay to play Overwatch competitively when they're 6 and being on that team. So as that continues to grow in popularity and people are playing it at a younger age, you're going to see more consummate professionals on the stage as we
100%.
continue this going.
And even having teams, even like local teams, like LAN teams, you know what I mean, at a young age. You don't have to do it all online where you are at your own house, right? Like, give the social aspect to it as well, especially for younger kids developing those skills, because that's another thing that sports will give you is maturity and professionalism and how to act in public in front of a bunch of people. Right now, a lot of these people were Twitch streamers or things that really drew an audience for a lot of them that they got by being characters, right? Not by playing the game well and nicely.
Well, I always make the joke that a lot of us, like our age, we're all similar age. We're all just basically adults playing softball. That's what they did 20 years
Right.
ago. They went and played softball. So now adults, one of the hobbies in that small group of people is now we play video games in a team, that kind of thing. We're not in bowling league. We're in an Overwatch league that we play with friends. Like
Yep.
our age group, we yearn for that, friendship and connection outside of work. Whereas the
Right.
younger generation, they don't have that mentality yet. So I think it'll just continue to improve, and you'll see it at a lower level. People will be smarter about Overwatch than any of these guys could ever dream to be because they've been playing it their whole life.
Oh,
I mean, and
definitely.
look at the Koreans teams. That's why they are what they are. They grow up
Yep.
playing video games competitively, and it translates very well.
Right. And you see like the dynasty, like how professional and respectful are all of those players. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're consummate professionals.
Yeah, and I think yes, some of that has to do with just the culture, but a lot of it has to do with I think they grew up with this as a thing. And I think we're just getting there. We're just scratching the surface right now in NA. But I think Overwatch League is going to help a lot.
Yep. And a fun fact, you talked about college teams. My coach of my new team, Shockmaster, is on a college team. So
That's awesome.
yeah. And my boy did the Lucio prepare to attack has been on a college team for a while now. So I think that's super neat.
So if
Is that
Chalk, if you
Fu or
ever go
no?
pro, then I could say I know you. That'd be cool.
No, it is not. It is not Fu. Dang it! You just made me blank on his name.
Fu did the Mercy one?
Fu did
Yeah.
a bunch of the support
Fu
ones.
did
That's why.
yeah, a bunch of the support ones, but no, this was not Fu. Dang it! I'm gonna feel so bad if he's listening. Sorry,
Well, and like your buddy, I think his name is Jack.
Jack. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's exactly who we're talking about. That starts playing at a younger age, grows up, instead of going to the baseball field after school, he's gonna go home and grind it out from his PC, and he's gonna be a pro the minute he turns 18. That's
Well,
what we'll see coming up.
and I mean he was like leaps and bounds ahead of the rest. I mean, at age 13, he sought out first and created his own team. And then he realized it was too hard to organize, so he joined other teams. I mean, long story short, the guy got to top 500, and
That's amazing.
He
yeah,
started in gold with us.
yep,
That's amazing that he
yeah.
hit top 500.
We met him because someone
Frisk.
was Frisk. Yes, Frisk is the Lucio that plays for the collegiate team. But we met Jack just randomly one night, and he was saying extremely smart things. And then one of the people in our game started yelling at him, calling him a squeaker. And so I just stood up for him. And then he sent me a message and a friend request, and I was like, sure, why not? You seemed like you knew what you were doing. So that's how we met Jack.
I played with this guy on Xbox. Little side story. Called Dylan. He was, I think, 12 years old or something. And he was really sweet. The guys that I played with normally, they had met him just playing on quick play, and they loved how like nice he was for such a young age. And he was an incredible Genji. Like, oh my god, on Xbox, someone doing Genji well can just carry. So he was that guy, and I told him I wanted to learn how to play Genji, so he took me in a private match in Hanamura for 30 minutes, teaching me combos. It's still like 12-year-old teaching a 30-year-old all these things, and he was loving it. He was having a blast doing it. Those are the kind of guys. And again, when people would flame them, we would stick up for him. Be like, listen, man, this guy's gonna carry us. So just you need to be nice to Dylan and let him do what he does.
Yeah,
But those kind of guys, the Dylans and Jacks of the world, is who we're going to be watching on Owl season 9 or something. Hopefully.
yeah.
Right.
I just feel if you don't open yourself up for gaining knowledge from every age group, you're doing yourself a disservice. Once you think you know it all, you've lost the game.
Do you know how many times I reference that at work, Bob?
Really?
I say that at least 3 times a day.
I've did that. I don't even know when I started saying that because I just think I made it up.
There's always something to learn.
Yes, always. And the game in my statement is life. But I don't think we have time to talk about this next thing here, Melissa.
Of course we don't. Stay tuned next week while we push it again.
Yes. Sorry about that, guys, but we are running a little long today. I'm going to go ahead and move into closing out the show. We have a little bit of extra information for you guys this week. So, the Watchers Brawl is a current tournament running all through this month. It's hosted by the Watchers Discord. I checked. There isn't really a Discord. There's not a discord.me link that I could find. So you'll have to. I think their link is on their Twitch, which I'll have in the show notes. But this is a tournament run by them, open to everybody. The dude here is going to be casting some of the games. Mel and I are competing. Our first game's tomorrow night. It's the old Podcasters six deck, and you guys are going to want to tune in to see us get our butt kicked. That's tomorrow night, January 8th. And you get there by going to twitch.tv/thewatchersow. So
First 2 games have both been 2-0s. So I was
Really?
telling Kinder earlier, I was like, you guys better not get 0-2'd, man.
Oh, dude. We haven't.
I think I'm a sub, by the way, so don't put me in this mix.
Oh, you are, aren't you? Okay, well, it'll just be me getting my butt whooped.
I got a
I'll
lot
be
of
in chat just to meme on them, though, guys. Don't you worry.
I got a lot to live up to because the first 2 games, the casters did amazing jobs. It was really entertaining stuff. So I got some prepping to do. But yeah, I'm doing I think 3 or 4 games, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I was gonna cast with you, but your slots are already filled, and I didn't really want to do it in the first place. So
I could tell, but I figured you would if it was with me.
Definitely, or if it was Jar, Kinder, somebody that I knew and was comfortable with. But I've tried casting before, and boy, it's not easy. Uber makes it look uber easy, but it's not.
It's okay. Like I said earlier, I'll just be Zoe and show off all my stats, and no one will care.
I got this one. I got this one. No, but also we have a Cavalry game night coming up. I'm going to turn it over to Mel to tell you a little bit about that.
Cavalry game night, yes, is coming up on the 11th. So we usually start about 7 Mountain Time, but I will post in the Discord with an exact time that day. Kind of depends on how the day goes, but that's discord.me/the Cavalry show. The Cavalry.
I think it's just the Cavalry, and
Yeah,
not to be confused with the Calvary. It's the Cavalry.
Yes,
so many people. Yeah, so many people mispronounce it. I think Roe does it every time wrong.
I think it's because of the Church of Kaplan, right? So we're confusing people. Sorry, guys, but come one, come all. It's all ranks are welcome. We just play custom games. Usually, if Gabe starts it, he'll start off with some arcade modes until people show up, and then we will do competitive rule set. And so just kind of kickball style the teams and then go from there. So it's a lot of fun. Everybody gets to play. Nobody gets angry, or we kick them.
Yeah, come one, come all. We will be there for sure. We also encourage you to follow us on Twitter at AlRecap. If you want to say something a little bit longer, you can send your emails to contact@alrecap.com. You can also find us in the Omnic Lab Discord. You can join that by typing discord.me/OmnicLab into your web browser of choice. We also live stream every week, usually on Mondays. It'll be pretty much always Mondays once the season starts. You could find us on twitch.tv/AlRecap. The show is quite different live. Lots of things get cut, but come for the bloopers. So it's a good time. Then also, if you prefer YouTube, it's on there shortly after, and it auto posts to our Twitter, so you can find the link there. Lastly, how can you support the show? You can support by listening and telling every one of your friends about it. Spam it after your comp games. Just tell everybody. Shout it.
Unless you were toxic, then don't tell people about us, okay? I tell Bob that all the time. I'm like, you can't be mean and then tell them you do a podcast.
I can do anything that I want. You can have listeners that hate you, that listen just as much just to yell at how wrong you are. Believe me, I know. I get emails from them. You could go one step further. You could leave us a rating or a review on iTunes, and I don't know if there's any other place to leave ratings, but iTunes, we will
Stitcher.
definitely read it on the show. Stitcher doesn't. I need to check those then. Dang it.
I do. Don't worry.
If you feel compelled to support us even further, please go to patreon.com/AlRecap and join Shazir and Thrill as big producers, or just give $1. Whatever you could do helps, and we appreciate it tremendously.
Help us go to those home games.
Yeah, I know I promised you I'd get information out on our giveaways coming up and the thing we're going to do with Patreon, but I promise you I will get that to you within the next couple days. I'll just put it on the feed, a little short audio file explaining what's going on. All right, Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
What about you, dude? And feel free to plug whatever you want. Watchpoint Radio, whatever.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter at @thedudeabides_B. You can definitely catch me on usually Tuesday nights. Lately, it's been Wednesday. But I think starting tomorrow, we're back to Tuesday nights on Watchpoint Radio. We stream at 9, and that's part of Mash Those Buttons. So filling in Bob's big shoes and hoping to keep the laughs up there. So.
Just drink more is what I would suggest.
Oh God.
Easy way to get yourself laughing, at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
You won't notice that everybody else isn't laughing.
Doesn't mean anyone else is laughing, but you're having a great time.
Yep. Heck yeah, man. That's all that matters. All right. You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Hi.
Later, guys.
All right, we are
We're gonna raid
still
Alan show.
live. Yeah, I was just gonna thank you, everybody. The chat was on fire.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Shazir, Brick McVictory, Silver Loki, a Totem was here for a little while. It's Trip was here. Man, you guys were awesome.
We're gonna go to Overwatch League Network.
OWLN show, yeah.
Stay in for the raid and then you can leave.
Yes, please. And give them our love. Tell them we love them. And we will catch you guys. OWLN show. We will catch you guys next week. Got some exciting stuff coming up. The league's about to start. Season 2. Ugh, I'm so excited. I can't
wait. So excited for this to get kicked off.
You didn't start the raid, babe.
Nope, I'm getting ready to. I was just saying bye to everybody.
You can say that during the really awkward silence that happens right after you click raid,
It's
and then we stare
it's
at it.
not as awkward anymore, but here we go. Tell them we said hi. All right, guys. See you next week. Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, Shazir, it should
And
pop up in the top.
all right, here we go.